The globalization of Koreans' comfort food kimbap was recently introduced in the Washington Post. Today, we will have a talk about how K-food has made it to the global mainstream with someone who in that article mentioned that the rising popularity of the seaweed rice roll is partly due to the success of a certain K-drama. We are now connected with Robert Koo, managing editor of a major textbook project at the UCLA Asian American Studies Center. Hello, Mr. Koo.
Hello, Mr. Koo.
Hello, how are you?
We're good. Thank you very much for joining us on the program. Now, Mr. Koo, you wrote us that the 2022 Korean series Extraordinary Attorney Woo, one of my favorite dramas, worked as a catalyst in spreading the global kimbap boom. So how much influence does Korean content have on the rise of Korean food items?
Yeah, I would say it has a tremendous level of influence. In fact, the influence that Korean content, especially K-dramas, had on the rise of the global popularity of Korean food began long before Extraordinary Attorney Woo. I would say that the first K-drama that focused on food that had a significant global audience was Daejangum, or Jewel in the Palace, in 2003. Of course, this was at the very start of what we considered the Korean wave in the late 1990s. And Daejangum then was followed by many other K-dramas that feature food, which the viewers then themselves try to consume after watching the dramas. To scratch the surface, I would cite My Lovely Samsoon in 2005, King Baker Kim Tak-gu 2010, Pasta in 2010, Bar Boy Ramen Shop 2011, and of course, Shiksapsida or Let's Eat, all three seasons, 2013, 15, and 2018, all had, I think, great influence in the way that global audiences perceive Korean food as something desirable. My personal favorite drama of all time is Coffee Prince in 2007, and which, of course, coincided with the growth of Starbucks-style coffee in Korea. And I have to mention, of course, Descendants of the Sun in 2016, which many Chinese viewers, after watching, sought out samgyetang. And I believe it led to some 4,000 Chinese tourists to come to the Bampo Hangang Park in Seoul to consume samgyetang altogether. And lastly, I would mention, My Love from the Stars, starring Kim Soo-hyun, who is, of course, under some crisis right now. This drama popularized chimek, chicken and beer, globally due to Chun Ji-yeon's character devouring with gusto. And this is just to scratch the surface of the effect that Korean drama has had on Korean food.
Right, you're bringing back so many memories because I haven't thought of Daejangum right before the show, but so many dramas that were very big before OTT platforms actually were big. And that's why I guess dramas like Attorney Woo now are spreading more of these K-food items, although already these K-foods were out there due to these Daejangum, Kim Samsoon, and Coffee Prince, etc.
That's correct, that's correct. And so basically what you're saying, Mr. Koo, is that K-food is a really big thing now here in the US, right?
Yes, absolutely. And so more recently in the US, I would say it has been reality and variety programming that has the country drooling over Korean food, with Netflix playing a major role. The Korean Food Rhapsody series starring Baek Jung-won. There was one on kimchi, one on hanwoo or Korean beef, on naengmyeon, on samgyeopsal, on kukbap, fried chicken. These all set the table for the arrival of, most recently, Culinary Class Wars, which was, I think, an absolute game changer. Because all of people I know, everyone has seen that. And not to be outdone, Amazon Prime, a rival streaming service, aired 2 seasons of Yoon's Kitchen in 2017 in Indonesia, 2018 in Spain, which took place in those countries, followed by 2 seasons of Jin's Kitchen in 2013 and 2023 and 2024 in Mexico and Iceland, which features some of the biggest names in K-drama and K-pop, including the Oscar winner Yoo Jung, along with the Seo-jin, Jang Yu-mi, Park Seo-joon, Kim Chae-woo-sik, Ko Min-si, and of course, Kim Taehyung V of BTS. They were all in this program. And so combined, these variety programs, cooking competitions and so forth, along with K-dramas, have really brought Korean food to the airwaves here in the US.
So it really looks like the modern contents do play a big role here. Now, we also want to talk about an interesting interview you had with CNN a couple of years ago. You mentioned that Spam has undergone a reputation makeover because Asian and Asian American chefs reintroduced the canned lunch meat. So tell us more about Spam and K-food and also other food items that are receiving similar revivals.
Yeah, Spam's an interesting example because in the US, Spam in the mainstream is seen as a kind of a joke. A lot of people make fun of it. It's considered to be very trashy, very low status. And so when many Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders consume Spam, it's seen as quite odd. But as you know, in Korea, it's not odd to consume Spam. And I would say that among all these so-called celebrity chefs that have become famous in the US in the past 10 or 15 years, Korean American chefs has really stood out. Of course, most notably, David Chang, Roy Choi, Kristen Kish, Esther Choi, and of course, Edward Lee, who was the breakout star of Culinary Class Wars. Despite coming in second, I think he was robbed, by the way. He should have won. All of these chefs, because they grew up in the US, have embraced ingredients like Spam that might have been seen as a joke to most Americans, but they are elevating it to a whole different audience in their really amazing restaurants. Yeah. And also, these chefs have no problem highlighting other Korean products, especially kimchi, gochujang, and even doenjang is making its presence known in all these restaurants, Korean or otherwise.
Yes, I'm seeing a lot of it in a lot of cooking shows as well. I love to watch cooking shows and they're adding a lot of Korean ingredients. Now, let's talk about it from a Korean immigrant's point of view. What is it like to experience K-food in the US, and what does K-food mean to Koreans living abroad, do you think?
Yeah, I think it depends on your generation, your age, your class, your background, and where you might have moved to as an immigrant. Certainly, in the United States, one of the largest destination of Korean immigrants, I came to the United States at the age of 8 in the early 1970s. And so, to be honest, it's a bit weird and confusing in a way, because when I immigrated to the US in the 70s, Korean food was not even on the radar of American cuisine. It was not seen as cool or delicious as it is today. Rather, Korean food was, for many Korean Americans of my age, a source of shame. Not only mainly because Korean food was seen as odd and weird, but especially because it was very smelly. As you know, Korean food, kimchi especially, can have a really strong aroma. And so that was very impossible to avoid. And so I lived most of my life avoiding Korean food with other non-Koreans because I thought it was something to be shameful. But things have changed. I have twin boys who are 17 who grew up here in the United States, but they never have to worry about the shame of Korean food because all of their friends who may not be Koreans, but they all love Korean food and they all go to get Korean food all the time. And so quite a bit has changed since 1970 compared to today.
I really have to agree with you on that, Mr. Koo, because when I was small and in Germany, I would rather have a sandwich, a European-style sandwich to eat at school instead of kimbap, even though I love kimbap. Now I would be very proud of packing out my kimbap at school. Now, our final question to you goes, some K-foods are being localized and modified, which happens a lot with foods once they make it overseas. But what's your take on that? Does this have only positive aspects or maybe also negative ones?
Yeah, I can't. Well, I would say it's better to focus on the positive. Negatives, I don't think is as important at the moment. Currently, Korean food, especially bunchik type of food, is popular all over the U.S., especially big cities. Tteokbokki, mandu, kimbap, corn dogs are very famous. Body baguette is opening up everywhere. H-marts everywhere. Korean restaurants are getting all of these Michelin guides, stars in in New York especially. But I would say that Korean food undergoes more change, perhaps in Korea, than it does in the diaspora. Simply because for many Koreans in the diaspora, in other countries, the desire is to try to recreate Korea, something Korean in their new location. And so there's a reluctance to change things. There's a protection around what's considered to be Korean culture by many Korean Americans, especially older generation. Whereas in Korea, whenever I visit, there's something new happening to Korean food, such as putting cheese on everything, which I can't understand, but it's a trend. And of course, that is not coming to here. And so, yes, everywhere food goes, no matter your background of any country, food undergoes localization and change. But I would say in the case of Korean food, I'm noticing that Korean food in Korea is making more dramatic changes than it is here in the US. And the culinary class wars, once again, is a great example of all those amazing chefs demonstrating the incredible variety and the flexibility of Korean food. And it's only the beginning, I think. I think this has got a long way to go.
Right, that's a very interesting aspect. We're seeing so many changes actually in Korea.
Right.
But yes, I think it's great that we are seeing these K-foods spreading around the world, including in the US. We hope to talk to you again, Mr. Koo, about this topic. Thank you very much for sharing your story and insights with us today.
Thank you, Mr. Koo.
Thank you. Had a good time. Thank you.
And thank you, Walter. As always, I'm going to see you back here tomorrow.
See you very soon.